Good morning, everyone. I'm Local 4 News Director Mike Mickle, and we are coming to you with Local 4 News over coffee from the Moline Maid-Rite on 16th Street. A very distinguished panel of guests sitting around the table this morning. We talked about the flooding some. Of course, some business owners are telling us that the bridge construction is hampering business for them as well. And Paul Rumler, God bless you for coming in all the way from L.A. after a trip to be here. Of course, the head of the Quad City Chamber. We like to think that the bridge joins us all together, but during this construction, it does seem to be, there are people avoiding it. What advice do you have for people about supporting our local businesses?
Yeah, this is not the year to shelter in place and be afraid of what's happening in the Quad Cities area. We've talked about the winter, we've talked about the flood, we've talked about the bridge, and now the heat. There's a lot going on in the Quad Cities, but the bridge is a barrier for us right now. That's why it's one of the reasons why we're trying to get a new one, and fought for the last couple decades to get funding for this major federal infrastructure project. It's going to help mobility in our region. But right now, I'd say the people who are avoiding the bridge have always avoided the bridge. And so there is an impact being made. But I would tell you that over the last month, there's probably been an increase in mobility because of the improvements that they've made with the zippering, and then they opened up the 2 lanes. You can actually get places both in Iowa and Illinois pretty quickly over the bridge, coming from somebody who does it about 4 times a day.
You know, it has come a long way, and knowing some of the people who are working on it, they're putting in unbelievable hours to keep moving this forward. So patience is a virtue, is what we keep saying around here. Bill, you have an interesting perspective. You were not in the line of the flooding, but you have businesses on both sides of the river. What sort of impact are you seeing?
The impact we see is that we typically have a 25% crossover to dealerships on both sides of the river from the opposite side of the river. That percentage is down quite a bit. People are staying, I think, more towards their own home state and avoiding the bridge. But a lot of people get frustrated with the bridge work and that type of thing, but I think it's a great investment for the community. You know, people want to live where there's good infrastructure. The I-74 corridor, John Deere road improvements have just been phenomenal in the long run, and we need to attract more people to live here in the Quad Cities, and I think it's this infrastructure and bridges and roads that people can get around on is a huge contributor to that. So we're looking forward to the end of this. But
absolutely. Yeah. If we can hang on a little bit longer, the results will be great then.
But Mike, I think I'm sorry to cut you off. I think that the flooding and the bridge are related in a different way, and it comes to the mobility. When the I-74 bridge is an issue for people, we couldn't get around to the Centennial Bridge because there was construction, and then the flooding was impacting downtown Davenport with River Drive, and so people were encouraged to just kind of stay where they're used to. So all of this is connected with mobility throughout the region between the flooding and the I-74 bridge, and we can't treat them as separate issues.
Well, there's still road construction in parts of downtown Davenport even today. I know coming off the Centennial Bridge just yesterday and trying to find my way around down there.
There were 2 river drives that were closed for 90 days. One in Moline, one in Davenport. Those are 2 very important roads.
Yeah, we noticed business dropping off about 50%, just traffic. I don't know if everyone else has seen that, but
we saw the same.
Yeah.
Mike, talk to me about the impact in downtown Moline.
So we had the challenge of not only bringing everyone off of the interstate down through our downtown to get back onto the bridge, but we also have the trains, which unfortunately is something that we have no control over, and the timing of them is inconsistent at best. But what we did find was, you know, we had a lot of angst that for those first couple weeks. We thought that the amount of queuing was going to back up, but we really put a lot of boots on the ground to manually work with those signals down through our downtown to allow people to move effectively through there. We increased lanes to allow people to get through our downtown so they could get up on the bridge. But we did find in some situations where they were down there, if a train came up and I've got some time anyway, maybe I'll stop and grab a cup of coffee or a sundae at Lago Marcino's or something like that and wait for the next thing. So we were trying to really encourage people to do those sorts of things. So while I think that the fear of it was well warranted at first. I think that through the work of our Public Works Department and our staff, they were really able to tweak and maximize the effectiveness of people going through our downtown.
You know, people joke that we have two seasons here in the Quad Cities. We have winter and road construction season, and that seems to be very true this year as well. But the common theme here is we had a record-breaking winter. Now we're having almost record-breaking heat. We've had flooding. So clearly, Ash Simpson, most of the problems that we're encountering in the Quad Cities is your fault, right?
Oh, what's new? What's new? Indeed, Mike.